Hello, well watchers, and welcome back to the Divine Well. In today's reading, we are going to be reading the energy of some family issues that you may be experiencing right now. I'm not sure why, but I just felt really called to do a reading about like the family. So you probably clicked on this video because you might be experiencing some family problems right now. So hopefully through this reading today, I can help deliver a message from your spirit guides that will kind of support you as you're navigating some of these family issues right now and kind of help you figure out how to position yourself amidst, kind of what's going on in your life and what's going on in your family dynamic right now. So thank you so much for clicking on this video and kind of trusting me to do this reading with you. So again, I'm just going to use one tarot deck for each reading today. I think that's kind of a good way to keep things kind of simple and help me get maybe a more clear reading on like the energy of the situation. So we have our three piles here. So we have the Light Seers Tarot, the traditional kind of tarot, and then the Essential Tarot. And with the Light Seers Tarot, we have the green Aventurine. And then for the traditional tarot, we are going to be using the Rose Quartz. And then for the Essential Tarot, we are going to be using the Amethyst. So again, just remember that this is going to be a general reading, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. In the first couple of cards of each pile, I'm going to be getting into like the nature of the problem and kind of like what you believe might be causing the problem. So if you are not resonating with those first few cards, go ahead and try out a different pile and see if maybe you resonate a little bit better with that energy. Or you can also take a look at the other readings on my channel and see if maybe you resonate with the energy of one of those readings a little bit better. So just remember, if you're not resonating with the first couple of cards, that's probably a sign that this is not the reading for you. But I'm sure that there's another one on the channel that may support you at this time or in the future. But anyways, I will stop talking now and I will give you a second to kind of resonate or, sit with the energy of the piles and see which one you feel kind of called to pick. And then just go ahead and check the description box below, and then I will have the timestamps for each pile. So take a second, sit with the cards, sit with the stones, and see which pile resonates with you the most. Hello, pile number 1, and welcome to your reading. So yeah, I've already pulled the cards here and just kind of like getting a reading on what we've got going on. So just remember, like I said before, if you're not resonating with the energy as I start going through the first couple of cards, go ahead and check out a different pile and see if maybe you resonate with that energy a little bit better. But nonetheless, let's get into it. So all right, so what we're looking at first is kind of like, what do you think? Or no, not what you think, but what is like the nature of the problem itself? So we have the King of Wands here. And like instantly, I mean, it's not too hard to figure out, but with this lion, what comes up for me is like pride, and, King of Wands definitely is like fire energy, that's masculine energy. So when I'm looking at it, I'm kind of getting the sense of like, with the pride and like kind of like egotistical like behavior. I feel like with this situation, I'm not sure if it's just, well, again, it could be different for different groups of people, but for some of you, it's like one specific person in your family who very prideful, very egotistical, borderline narcissistic, just like not being like the leader of the family that like the family needs, in my opinion. And not to get like too traditional, you know, with like leader of the family. But I kind of feel like whoever is that person who like you guys would like look to for guidance, or look to show you the way, look to like teach you right from wrong. This is probably coming out in terms of a parent, but it could be like anybody who holds this role in the family. I get the sense that they have led you down, or led the family down a path like according to like their like personal idiosyncrasies, rather than like what like objectively may be like right from wrong, if that makes sense. So it definitely just feels like egotistical, like narcissistic behavior, like from the top. So like someone who, or people, it doesn't have to be just one person. Like I said, it's a general reading, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But I just feel like the person at the top, or people at the top, they're just the kind of people who are not very good at like, you know, like saying sorry, admitting when they're wrong. It's kind of like their way or the highway type of thing. And I feel like what this person or these people have done is they have created a situation where like everyone else doesn't feel as empowered to like speak up, speak their mind, like share their ideas. Like I get the feeling that like this person, they have like put themselves on like the pedestal, and everyone else is kind of just like supposed to be there to like serve that. Yeah, just like very, very narcissistic, very egotistical behavior. This could be like, I mean, if we're talking about a parent, this could be a parent who like, again, like they weren't objectively teaching like what's objectively like right from wrong. It was more so just like according to like whatever their personal belief system is, and but like unreasonably, like their morals and their behaviors and just like what they're about is just, I hate to use the word corrupt, but it's just not rooted in like what works for everyone. It's rooted in like what works for them. Again, like that their way or the highway type of thing. So I feel like people in the family may have like felt or currently feel like the rest of us like don't matter, and like it's all about this person or like these people, whoever it is in your life, in your situation. So I just get the sense, and it may not, and for everyone, it's not like, oh, this is who they've been the whole entire time. For some people, you're just, maybe it's like referring to a specific situation in which, in this situation, the way this person is acting is they're making it really about themselves. They're being very narcissistic. They are not considering other people enough, not considering like the other perspectives in the room, not considering the needs of other people. It's just, I'm getting like it's just all about them, and it's like whatever they need matters, and it's like whatever anybody else needs is just, it doesn't matter. At least it's either overall or just like in this particular situation. Yeah, very egotistical energy. Obviously, I'm kind of connecting that with like a parent. So if you have experienced having like a toxic parent, or you and your parent are kind of maybe going through a rough situation, and you don't feel like they are really hearing you, really listening to you, really seeing you type of thing, and seeing you and your place in the situation and what is important about that. That's how I kind of feel about this card. So again, if you're not connecting with that energy, it's possible that this might not be your reading, but like, let's continue. And I feel like that's also like what is really going on is in alignment with like what you think is going on. So I feel like you just definitely think that this person is not considering you. This person or these people are, when they look back and they reflect on everything that's going on, when they make sense of the situation, it's just all about them. It's all about what they want. It's all about what they need. It's all about, you know, how they want things to go. And there's little consideration for what the other people in the situation need. And I think also too, like, I think you have tried your best to, like, like, say how you feel and, like, try to advocate for, like, your perspective and, like, what you need out of the situation and all that. But I hate to say that I feel like it's fallen on deaf ears, or like maybe they have heard you, but like they're just not yet in a place to understand fully and to like make the adjustment necessary. I feel like whoever is like kind of the central figure in this conflict, they're not really at a point where they're willing to consider how their behavior is really affecting everybody, because again, they're trapped in this like egotistical narcissistic mindset, which is preventing them from really being able to take accountability for their own behaviors and actions and what they're doing. And so they're not even able to, at this point, for most of you, they're not even able to see the other side of the situation or see the chaos or the hurt that they're causing everybody in the situation, because they're just not there yet. They're stuck in that egotistical narcissistic mindset. And I think you and other people in the family have probably had several conversations. You have tried to get this person to like see the light, to consider your perspective, to consider, how their actions are affecting everybody, how their mindset is affecting everybody. But I don't get the feeling that they're there yet. So I think that you actually have a pretty good read on the situation. I feel like how you feel about it is very much in alignment with like what is actually going on. This person is just really unable to see and like care about things outside of their own like needs right now. So let's continue though. Extra things or additional factors that might be impacting the situation. We have 4 of Swords. For me, I kind of feel like this person, I don't think that they came from a background that had like a solid foundation where it like they taught right from wrong. This person was taught to, consider the feelings of other people. To a certain extent though, I feel like this person is kind of repeating like generational wounds. So I feel like they may have also been raised by, like a toxic parent or a guardian who like didn't consider them, and who made whatever types of decisions and left this person feeling hurt, So, and it's funny because I feel like this person, when they were in that situation growing up, or these people, they like really thought, oh, I would never do this to my kids. Like I would never be that way. I would never, For some of you, if you're like maybe you've even told them like you're just like your dad or your mom or your parent or whoever, and they probably get like really pissed if that's ever been brought up, because they don't think that they are, but they have not even realized how they are repeating the same like things that their caretaker did to them when they were a child. That may not be for everybody, but that energy is just kind of coming through strongly for me. I just feel like when this person was young, they had to really like rely on themselves, because like, and they had to really like take care of themselves. They kind of like walk through life realizing like no one's gonna have my back, so like I have to have my own back, like no one's gonna take care of me the way I need to, so I have to make sure that I'm the one who's taking care of me. I have to make sure, that I like wanting to do all these things that the people in their life, in their childhood, were supposed to do for them, but didn't. But they don't even realize fully how they are showing up in this now family dynamic, like just how their caretakers were. And so I just don't think that this person has really like connected the dots as far as what happened to them and how they are kind of recreating that and being that person, in this now new family situation. So that may be an angle to kind of like work off of when it comes to kind of solving this problem, because I get the sense that this person is not even really in touch with just how parallel those two situations are. And what they've done is exactly what they didn't want to do, but they're not in touch with that. Like, they don't understand that. Because I don't really feel like this person is like inherently narcissistic. Like, I don't think it's like a narcissistic personality disorder. I think it's a result of how they grew up, the environment they grew up in, the kind of like survival techniques that they had to acquire has now resulted in like the current person that they are, or how they like function through disagreement is through being like narcissistic, not like empathetically listening to all parties involved. So if they're not like this all the time, it could just be like when things are rocky, they turn into this type of like narcissistic like energy. Because again, I don't think it's like the whole of the person that they are. I just think it's a manifestation of the generational trauma, in my opinion. But yeah, let's keep going. So what are some of the hidden and unknown influences that are kind of involving in the situation? And we have the Eight of Pentacles here. And again, I feel like this is, we're talking about the things that they saw, the things that they experienced, how they learned to function, you know, and again, I feel like it's trickling down into the family unit now, because these are things that they've done again. They've recreated, and they have, again, like passed down this generational trauma. So some of you are like pretty big families. I don't know why, but I get the sense that there's like a lot of siblings. For some of you, not all of you, but for some of you. And you may notice that like maybe some of your siblings, or at least one of them, are like the spitting image of this person. I don't think that all of you are, because I think, you know, just given the day and age that we're in, we have access to so much more information, so many different ways of doing things, that some of you have kind of been able to recognize like, okay, what happened is like, or what this is not what I want. This is not okay. I'm not going to be doing this. I'm not going to be partaking in this. I'm choosing something different, and I will teach my family something different, and we will do things a different way, you know? But I get the feeling that unknowingly this person has passed this stuff down. So, and I would I would caution you to reflect on your own experiences, because like, whether we like it or not, the apple does not fall too far from the tree. And so there are probably, if there are things that like you think that this person has that you don't, I would caution you, or excuse me, I would encourage you, not caution you, encourage you to actually kind of engage in a little bit more reflection, because I think that there are probably traits about them that do show up in you, but you may not be able to see that, just like they aren't able to see, you know, how their past experiences has, you know, resulted in how they've kind of shown up and behaved. So yeah, I just think that, like, again, like, pay attention to like what you saw, what you and your siblings experienced, and because I don't get the sense that the arguments or the disagreements that you guys are having are like calm, cool, and collected. I think this is probably a family who can easily go from 0 to 100, you know? But that's because I don't know that you guys have been able to build a foundation on like the correct ways to communicate with each other, you know, to communicate with like love and communicate with understanding, rather than like, you know, having arguments and maybe getting like out of control with each other. I just don't feel like the foundation was really, you know, set in stone for, okay, like, this is how you treat someone. This is how you talk to someone that you love, even when you're upset with them, you know? And I just don't get the sense that that was shown and that, like, is the experience. So I feel like a lot of you in the family probably are suffering the effects of not having that, and that is contributing to the current situation. It's not all on this person. Yes, maybe they are the ones who, like, I guess, you know, set the foundation, who didn't maybe lead the family in the correct direction in that regard, but at this point everybody is playing a role in how things go down. And what you guys need to do, well, I mean, I'm not gonna say what you need to do, because you don't need to do anything, but it could be helpful for everyone to kind of do some reflection and look at themselves and look at, okay, what parts of this person show up in me, and how do those parts contribute to the ongoing conflict, you know? And what really comes in strongly for me is the bad communication, the like maybe having arguments, like pretty loud arguments, you know, things kind of getting out of control, not being able to communicate, I feel like is one of the big drivers of a lot of this conflict. So someone's going to have to make a decision to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do things different. I'm not going to scream back when someone screams at me. I'm going to try to do things differently. That's literally probably one of the only ways to break this cycle. Someone has to make a different decision and try to do things differently. Because all you're going to be doing is like creating more of the same and continuing to pass down like that generational trauma, you know, and continuing to teach the generations after you, like, this is how you communicate. This is how things are done. And, you know, is that or is that not beneficial to the family as a whole? I think that's the question to ask. So I would just consider that kind of as you move forward and move through this situation. Okay, and then, yeah, so what effect is like all of that having on the family? And we have the Judgment card here. What's coming through strongly for me is that I feel like no one is able to really be like truly honest with each other and able to be like truly vulnerable with each other. I just feel like you guys are in a position where, because the arguments and the screaming matches get so intense, whenever maybe you're in a position to kind of actually start getting to the truth, maybe getting to the vulnerability, being able to really express how you're feeling and what's going on, like no one knows how to communicate that effectively. So the things that really need to be said are not being said. And you're not ever really able to make some for real progress, is because no one's able to really take each other seriously and like honor each other's vulnerability and honor each other's like experiences when you communicate. Because I think it just turns into, like, again, like big arguments, screaming matches, everyone wants to play the blame game, you know, and I get it, but that just tells me like there's a lot of emotion that exists within, you know, or a lot of emotion, a lot of passion, you know, that exists within how people feel, but no one is really able to effectively have a conversation about that. So there are tons of things that are unsaid. There are tons of things that you guys don't even know about each other. I would bet that there's a lot of things that you guys don't actually know about each other. And that's because I think this is a family who struggles to effectively communicate and struggles to like just treat each other nicely, you know? But I also do feel like you're not going to really be able to move forward and create a better family situation for yourselves if you guys aren't able to hear each other out, and if you don't make an effort to really try to communicate differently, you know, because if you're never in a position to be able to, like, I don't know, really just, you know, just like sit in each other's vulnerability, and not only each other's but yourselves, you know, like it's important. Everybody can grow up in the same house and have a different experience, so it's just really important, you know, if you guys really want to get to a point where it's like not all about one person, you have to be able to honor each other's experiences and honor each other's vulnerability. So it's just, I think it's just time for you guys to do something different. That's definitely how I feel. Like it's just time to change the way that everybody communicates, because that's what I think is really having the biggest effect on like this problem continuing, or the family maybe not getting to that like level of closeness, or, you know, vulnerability, or even just plain happiness, you know, because it's kind of like every time you guys are near each other, something pops off. Maybe not every single time, but most of the time, like something's popping off. And like, I think that you definitely want different, because why else would you have clicked on this video? You know, that, I mean, that's just a sign to me, and should be a sign to you, that if you haven't recognized it now, something in you wants something different. But in order for you to get something different, you have to do something different, and you have to be committed to doing something different. So I think the place to start, though, is finding a way that you guys can effectively communicate, and you guys can trust each other to be vulnerable with each other. It's not easy to be vulnerable, especially when, you know, in a situation like this where things often get out of hand, or, you know, you have a person who has kind of brought this narcissistic energy into the situation, so you don't feel like they care, you know? And if you're in a position where you're like, I would love to tell my family how I feel, but I just don't think that anyone would care, maybe you can be the one who starts off and says, you know what? Or go to one of your family members and say, hey, tell me about your experience. I want to hear. You know, I care. Let them know that you care. Maybe you can be the one who starts doing something different. And then you have no idea like what doors that will open for change in the situation. So just something to think about. But okay, so then what are actions that should be avoided as it relates to this family conflict? We have the Page of Wands here. And to me, how I kind of feel about this is like people need to stop being so self-centered. Everyone, and again, it's like it's coming down from the top. I feel like that is the generational like trauma and the generational curse, you know, that is kind of affecting this family right now, is that everyone has so many like walls up, and it's very hard for you guys to let those walls come down because you guys are not able to feel emotionally safe with each other, you know? And I get it. It's definitely hard, but I just think like someone has to break the cycle, you know, in order for anything to change. Someone has to be the driver in breaking the cycle. For some of you, maybe somebody has already kind of started that. It could be you, it could be a different member of your family, but I think what needs to be avoided is like leaning into the selfishness, leaning into the it's my way or the highway type of situation. Because like I said, whether you realize it or not, or whether like your siblings realize it or not, the apple does not fall far from the tree. What is coming down from the top is in each of you some way, somehow. You just have to be willing to see that it's there. But you know, you acknowledge it, figure out why it's there, but then you can make a different decision. You know, it's literally just that simple. You can do whatever you want. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. You can do exactly what you want. You just have to have the courage to be able to do that. And I feel like what you want and what a lot of you guys want, but you're not able to say because, again, this is not a safe, vulnerable place for emotional safety and expression. You guys want to be closer. You guys want to have better relationships, but these tendencies come in, you know, the narcissism comes in, and then it's like, okay, I got to protect myself. I care about me. I have to defend myself. You know, and it's just like, no. We really need to get into caring about each other, you know, and then I think that that's when you're going to see a shift, you know, so rather than like rushing to defend the self, try just having empathy for the other person, being curious about the other person, accepting and honoring the experience of the other person. And then I think that that's when things are going to change. But we have to stay away from, you know, just like that selfish, it's all about me energy, because it's not. You know, you guys are a family, you guys are a unit, you know, and whether you like it or not, for better or worse, these are the people that, you know, you were put on this planet with, and you chose them. You know, we choose our family before we get here in the spiritual plane. So maybe look at it like that. Why did you choose these people? Why did your spirit choose these people? What was the lesson here to learn? Maybe you're the one who's meant to help these people in this family break the cycle, you know, and you can be a really big driver in breaking the cycle. So just something to think about. Okay, so then, yeah, what can be done to resolve the issue? We have 7 of Wands. And again, it's like reflection, digging deep, really being open to hearing other people out, really being open to letting everybody have a chance to speak, letting everybody feel like everyone needs to feel like what they have to say matters and is important. And that's something that you all struggle with. Again, this is why like arguments and things really, really pop off. It's because, you know, people just want to feel heard. People want to feel like they matter. And you guys are not very good at making each other feel like you matter, because you lean into these selfish, narcissistic tendencies that have been, you know, coming down from generation to generation. So yeah, you know, I really just think that you guys need, like, what can be done is hear each other out, honor each other's experience, and get out of that selfishness and start acting like you guys care about each other. Because at the end of the day, you do. You would not be watching this video if you didn't care about these people and didn't want better for them. But you guys really have to tell each other that. Tell each other you love each other, you know? Like, let everybody know that you care about them. Like, I think that's where the conflict is. Like, no one's really 100% sure if they matter in this family. And that's where I feel like a lot of the conflict comes from. But all of you matter. All of your experiences matter. So start treating each other like you love each other. I don't know, that's how I feel about it. But again, take it as it resonates. Okay, and then, like, what can be the outcome here? And we have the Ten of Pentacles. So what I see and what I feel very, very strongly with this Ten of Pentacles is we have the opportunity to do things different, to break a generational pattern, to break a generational curse. You guys have an opportunity to set your family up for a different future, to set the next generation up for a different, you know, life, a life where we all enjoy being around each other, a life where we all feel like we all matter, you know, a life where, you know, it's not all about like the selfish, like narcissistic, a life where when you guys have disagreements and you have, you know, difference of opinion, you can talk about that and have like a healthy, you know, cool, calm and collected conversation about it. You know, I just really think that there is an opportunity for you guys to really make a change and how, you know, things are going to go for your family down the line. And it's really, you have an opportunity here to, again, break those generational curses and set your family up for a much like stronger bond moving forward. But that can't happen, like I said, if you're not willing to step out of that selfish, narcissistic energy that is cursing your family right now. I don't mean to sound like very dramatic, but like, I mean, that's what it is. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me in this reading. I really, really hope this reading resonated with you. If this reading did resonate, please like this video or leave me a comment. I would love to hear your guys' stories and experiences. And I really do wish you the best of luck as you continue to kind of navigate this situation. I really wish you peace and love and healing as you move through this. And again, if this did resonate, just think about maybe liking this video, leaving a comment, or subscribe to the channel if you would like to catch readings in the future. Yeah, but thank you again, guys, for watching this, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, pile number 2, and welcome to your reading. No, that sucked. Hello, pile number 2, and welcome to your reading. My apologies for it being kind of darker. My light that I forgot to charge is going dead, so that's okay. We can work with that. So yeah, thank you for joining me in this reading, pile number 2. Just remember before we get started that this is a general reading. So if you are not connecting with the energy of this as I kind of start reading the cards, it's probably a sign that this is not the reading for you. So go ahead and check out one of the different piles and timestamps, and you might connect better with that message, or maybe another reading on my channel. And maybe you will connect with the message in one of those videos a little bit better. But nonetheless, let's keep going and get into it. Okay, so first we're gonna look at what do you feel, or what is like kind of the nature of the problem. And we have Temperance here. And what I kind of first thought of when I saw this card is like, I kind of feel like this is a family where you guys are very much comfortable with like picking sides and like sticking to it, if that makes sense. I feel like in this conflict, whatever is going on right now, I think that there might be like a divide between like how like half of the members of the family feel about the situation and how the other half of the family like feel about the situation, or maybe everybody has just like a different opinion in general, type of thing. But I feel like it's kind of like pointing to like, I don't know if something specific happened or if there's some like specific situation that happened where you guys are like, oh, one side of the family believes that this is what happened and the other side of the family believes that this is what happened. And so you guys are kind of like maybe consistently at odds with each other. I don't know why. It just came up for me that some of you guys like are in a family where like certain people in the family haven't spoken to each other in a really long time. Due to this like difference in opinion. Okay, sorry, I'm kind of having like a little bit of a reaction right now because I feel like for some of you, not all of you, this could be tied to like a really deep, like, family secret, family misunderstanding, family, like, a deep wound that people have different opinions about. And I feel like for some of you, that like, again, this isn't all of you, for some of you, it's like the truth of the situation. And like some of you are on board with that truth and some of you are not and refuse to like acknowledge that truth. I'm just going to leave it at that. Take that as it resonates. I hate to get so like serious and like dark, but for some of you, that's just kind of how I feel like this energy is resonating a little bit. It has to do with like a big difference of opinion in the family. It's not something that's like surface level. It's not like, oh, like, I don't know, this part of the family like likes chicken and the other half likes steak. It's not like that. It's like a real for real situation. And you already know what it is, so I'm not gonna, try to speculate, but I do get the sense that it's something very, very serious. Not something that could ever be like taken lightly. That's for some of you. It doesn't have to be for all of you. But in general, if you're not feeling like, your family is the kind who's like kind of going through this like difference of opinion and like different sides of people are on different sides, this probably isn't your pile, but I don't know, that's just how I feel very strongly about it. So, but yeah, let's keep going. Okay, and let's see, what do you believe is kind of causing the problem or anything? So we have the 7 of Wands here. And I feel like with this, I kind of feel like you are on the side, and this could not be for everybody, but most of you are on the side of like siding with like that truth, if that is like kind of the situation that applies to you. You're on like the side of like the truth, like this thing did happen and we can't just ignore it, we can't just sweep it under the rug, type of thing. And so I feel like again, I'm getting like we're kind of like at war type of vibes here, and the other people in the situation, or at least how you feel, like the other people in the situation are not willing to acknowledge like the truth and are not even willing to even like consider a reality where that truth is like the truth. I'm sorry, I don't mean to like be talking in circles. But so anyways, and I feel like whenever you guys like some of the people in the family have like not talked to each other in a very long time, based on this like difference of opinion. And I feel like the times that you guys have gotten together, you always end up fighting about it. Like it always ends up coming up. And so a lot of you have decided, like it's just best that we don't even interact. It's just, you're clearly not going to see what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to agree with what you're trying to say. So it's just best that we don't even talk, period. And I mean, that wasn't really, I'm not saying that that's like not the right thing to do. I'm not even looking at it in terms of like right and wrong. I do get the feeling that you're justified in feeling that way and thinking that way and moving that way. So like, again, I'm not saying right, wrong. I'm not even getting into the moral aspects of it. I just feel like how you feel is like, there's merit to how you feel. It's not just like you're being unreasonable and you're being ridiculous. I don't get that at all. Yeah. So, I mean, you have held firm, I think, in like what you think and what you feel. And I mean, I commend you for that, you know, because again, I don't feel like you're wrong. I feel like you're the one who's kind of on like the right side of this situation. But again, like general reading, take it as it resonates. But I do feel like it causes you like pain at the end of the day. You know, like it sucks that you're in this position of like some of your family members like not ever being able to see your side, because I do feel like at one point things were good and maybe you guys were like a good like happy family, and then this kind of thing happened that like just separated everyone, and just have never ever been able to get back to the same thing. But I do feel like that is something that you want. You do wish that things could be different, but you're also not willing to compromise on your truth. And that's not a problem, honestly. But I do feel like you do wish that things could be different. At least that's how I feel, but okay. But so what are some of the additional factors that are impacting the situation? And we have Queen of Cups. And again, I'm getting like, I think the reason why like certain people are unable to acknowledge like the real truth of this situation is because they are not even close to being able to confront the feelings that come with that. Like, again, I really feel like whatever happened, it was like big, like there is no way that like it's something that could be compromised on, you know, like it causes like everyone in the family a lot of emotional pain and a lot of emotional distress. And you might be like thinking on your end of the spectrum, like, I don't know how these people could not be wanting to acknowledge this truth, or how they could go about living their lives acting like this thing just never happened, or trying to move on or whatever. But it's not because like they're actively like wanting that. It's literally because certain people in the family are just not even capable of like expressing that kind of emotion or like confronting that kind of truth, because it acknowledging that truth, it's scary. It's so scary for them, and these people are so scared of like what that truth actually means that like they just will choose to just like not even look at it, you know, to not even allow themselves to come to, you know, that type of like truth, you know, like they're not even willing to acknowledge it, because like the emotional pain of that is just like so tough. It's just very, very tough, you know. And again, that's why I feel like it's not like a surface level type of like dumb argument. It is something that's very, very serious. And yeah, I feel like for you, it's very much like black and white. Like this thing that happened, it was wrong. Like if you are on the other side of that coin, like I don't want anything to do with you type of thing. Like I don't know how you could even like be there. But the reason why they're there is because whatever this is, I'm telling you, like they are not even close to a position to be able to accept the type of emotional pain that comes with acknowledging the situation. Because I do feel like on certain levels, and I'm not saying everybody, certain people, they know that there is truth to whatever this thing is, but I'm telling you, they are going to protect themselves before they are willing to acknowledge it. And literally what they're doing, it's just a protection and a self like defense mechanism, from preventing themselves from being able to, or preventing themselves from like feeling the emotions that would come with like accepting a truth like that. So it's not because, I mean, you have your own opinions about what's a good, bad person, like whatever. And I don't think it's because that they're inherently bad people. I really just think it's because they're just not in a position to be able to like feel that type of pain. Because whatever it is, I just get the sense that it's very, very painful. But okay, let's move forward. So what are some hidden and unknown influences that are involved in this like conflict? And so we have the Three of Wands here. sorry, this is interesting. I feel like when it comes to these people, like, I think if they were to acknowledge for real, like, what's going on, I don't know that, like, there would ever be, like, recovery for them. At least not right now, as the energy is sitting right now. You know what I mean? Like, because again, we're talking about here about how there is, you know, it's not because they're inherently just trying to be like the opposition. It's because they're unwilling to accept the feelings or feel the feelings that come with acknowledging the truth of the situation. And the Three of Wands here, it's just kind of like refusal to grow, refusal to look at what they know is true, you know? Because again, I do feel like there is, like, at least for some of them, a sense of knowing that whatever this is true, but they have that like so shoved down because again, it comes with that emotional pain. So it's just kind of like, it's hidden and unknown to them. I think it's not because I'm saying it, but I don't feel like they are in touch with like, this is the reason why, you know. It's not like they can acknowledge like, okay, yeah, I know this is true, but like, it's going to cause me so much emotional pain to deal with it. So like, I'm just not going to. I don't feel like that's a conscious decision that they're making. I just feel like that is the subconscious driver that is like causing them to not be able to like fully acknowledge this and fully like accept what like comes with like acknowledging a truth like this. So I feel like subconsciously it's literally just like refusal to even like look at it and but look at what they know is true, because they know it's true. Like on some level in their consciousness, they know that, but that's not what they're going to acknowledge at this point because they just can't handle it. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why like certain people stay away, is because when they are around you or when they're around like certain members of your family who are on the side of this truth, it just brings that up for them. It brings up that like inner conflict of like, you know, I know this is true, but I don't want to acknowledge it. And so that's one of the reasons why they probably stay away, I think. So yeah, they couldn't even like try to make this better if they tried, because they're just not even close to being able to acknowledge that. And the effect that this issue is kind of having on the health of the family is that you guys don't see each other, you know, like you guys can't communicate. You guys can't, Three of Pentacles is what I'm referring to, but like you guys, like conscious decisions are made to just like stay away, you know, and you guys can't get together. Like there's a whole like rift, a big rift in the whole entire family, you know, and but I have to say that like, and again, this is just based on the energy I'm feeling right now. Like energy can always shift and change at any point, you know, but I feel like right now people are still not in a position to acknowledge. They're not in a position to like fully see, you know, and like all that. So it's really, really hard. Or you guys are just not, I don't think you're going to be able to find like a resolution like really anytime soon, just because they're not, I don't know, like I said, it's probably, I don't know if it's been like a short time or a long time since this thing has happened. I get the feeling that it's a long time, but again, that's not for everybody, so take what resonates. But I don't really feel like I see an end to this conflict like soon, because again, they are just not in a position to acknowledge, and that's like what needs to happen, you know. But let's keep going, or to even like talk, like, you know, it's just people are just gonna stay kind of like on opposite sides of the coin when it comes to this. And so like what action should be avoided? So we have the Two of Pentacles here. And I think honestly how I feel about the Two of Pentacles in this situation is I feel like what should be avoided is like people trying to just like make peace and like put things under the rug, you know, because I don't know if anybody has ever suggested to you, or maybe they've suggested this on the other side that like you're not in communication with, that like, oh, you know, like we can just forget this, we can just move on, we can just, you know, just like leave this thing in the past and just move on, and but you can't. I don't really see, or I don't really feel that there's any situation where you guys can have any type of like healthy family dynamic with everyone involved if whatever this is just like swept under the rug. It's just not possible, you know. So again, like I just feel like the thing that needs to be avoided is any like moves being made towards like letting these people like enter back in or being like good graces without like them like confronting these emotional truths. And it's not because like I just feel like, you know, you want your family to be in pain or anything like that. It's not that, but it's more so just like if you compromise on that, then you're compromising yourself. And like what purpose does that serve for you, you know? And it's like you shouldn't be like, I mean, again, don't take my advice. You can do whatever you want, but in general, it's not really a healthy thing, you know, to have to compromise yourself when it comes to the people that you love, you know, or people that you want to be around you, because that's just not an authentic relationship, you know? So if anybody like suggests or like continues to suggest like, hey, like let's just all move on, like let's just like, you know, forget about this, like, no, we're not gonna do that, because I'm not like, there's no need for you to compromise yourself for the benefit of other people who are not willing to make the same compromise, you know, because why give what you're not gonna get back? It's just, I just don't see energetically how that serves any type of purpose for you. I don't see it. So that's just how I feel it should be avoided. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. But let's keep going. So Page of Pentacles here. What can be done to like resolve the issue? Whew. Now, again, this is far-fetched. I don't necessarily think that this is going to happen, at least anytime soon. But the only way, and but this also doesn't have to be something that happens with like everybody at once. It could just be like certain people. What's going to have to happen is they're going to have to accept a different reality than the one that they're choosing to live in right now, because they're choosing to live in a false reality where, you know, whatever this thing is, they choose, you know, they don't want to acknowledge that it's going to happen. Or maybe even, I mean, for some of you, you could be the one who's like not acknowledging the truth, you know. Again, if you feel more connected with the energy of you're the one who's not acknowledging the truth, then like it could be you, but I feel like for the majority of you, it's not you. But for some of you that may be that in that position, you're gonna, or you or they are going to have to be open to a different reality, being open to the truth, being willing to be like, you know what, I messed up, you know, and taking accountability for that. And not only being willing to say I messed up, but also just being willing to live in the truth, you know, and acknowledge it. Again, I feel like it's not really going to happen for real, but whoever these people are, or like they know, again, like they know in their heart that this situation is true, whether they are able to acknowledge that right now or not, you know, they know, but you know, they're just choosing to live in a fantasy world, you know, and like, okay, and I guess like they will have to like reap the consequences or benefits of, or I don't know. I guess people can decide for themselves what's a consequence and what's a benefit. But I just get the feeling that the only way to move forward, the only way to begin to resolve this issue is for the people who are not willing to acknowledge the truth to step into the reality where the truth exists and like allow it to be true. And you know, some of them just aren't there yet. And I don't know if they ever will be. But if you're on the end of the spectrum where like, you know, you're the one who is already living in the truth and existing in the truth, I don't really feel like there's anything else that you can do, you know, because again, like there's no sense in you compromising yourself. Like, because they wouldn't compromise for you, or else it would have been done by now. I feel kind of disappointed, like, as I'm talking about this. So I feel like you, as the viewer, like, you're probably just, like, still really disappointed in your family. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just feeling like I'm just disappointed. And I wish that the people in the situation would, like, make a different choice. But some people just can't handle it. And, you know, like, that's that. You know? Okay, but what will the final outcome be in this situation? We have the Emperor here. And I feel like, again, as of right now, I don't really see the other people, like, changing their minds and doing what it takes to, like, really make a positive change in how these dynamics are kind of going. But so I feel like if we're putting this in the context of like just you and who you are as a person, I think that what's going to happen is, even though you're upset about it still right now, like, you know, and it's okay to be upset. Like, it's okay to process your feelings about all that and like go through it. But I feel like eventually you will move to a place where it's just like, you don't even care. And not that you don't care about like the truth and like whatever the situation is, but like, it doesn't even matter to you anymore to like deal with these people or even try to like be upset by the fact that you've lost contact with them. You know, I think what you're going to do is you're just going to, if you haven't already, are going to just make sure that things are different in your family that you create, you know, or in your life that you create. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a family, because some of you guys don't even want a family as of right now because it's just too painful for you to like reflect on what you've been through. But it's possible that you could change your mind, but you're gonna be the person that is the driver of you having a different experience in your own life and in your own family if you create that one day, or if you haven't already. If you are, that's what you're doing right now, you know, is like being open, or not being open, but you are making sure that the situation that you're in now and the family that you're in now is not gonna go the same way that the rest of this stuff did. And honestly, when other people aren't willing to do their part, that's all you can do, because you can only, you know, you only have control and manage over your own life. You can't control other people. So all you can do is make the best of what you got. And if the best thing for you is to just not even attempt to ever contact those people again and move forward, and you make your life how you want it and go about it the way that you want it to, then hey, I mean, that's what you got to do. You know, definitely acknowledge your feelings about that. And it's okay to be upset that like these are the dynamics. Like, it's okay for that to be sad to you. It's okay for you to be disappointed, you know, by all this. So don't think that, like, don't make yourself feel bad because, like, objectively these people are not doing the right thing, and like you don't want, you like, sometimes, you know, like, you can feel bad that you feel bad about that, you know, because like your moral compass is just so over here, but then you still kind of feel sad that like you're not going to interact with these people, because again, like, at one point I think things were good, at least for some of you, and then that situation happened and the family just split. So definitely acknowledge your feelings about it. Make sure you process your feelings about it. But I think that you're going to be okay at the end of the day. You're going to create a good life for yourself, and a life that, you know, you're proud of, and you don't have to feel shame, and you don't have to feel like you don't have to sit and like subconsciously have like these uncomfortable feelings. You know, you're going to be fine. Even if these other people can't come to their senses. At least that's how I feel about it. So thank you so much, Pile 2, for joining me in this reading. Again, I really do wish you guys like the best of luck, and I wish you peace and love and healing as you move forward in this kind of family situation. If you did like this reading, and if it did resonate with you, please like this video, or even leave me a comment. I would love to hear a little bit about, you know, your story and kind of how you connected with this reading. Also too, you're more than welcome to subscribe to the channel if you would like to continue to get notifications for readings from me in the future. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, pile number 3, and welcome to your reading. So as you guys can see, I already have like pulled the cards and everything. So we're gonna get right into it. Just remember that this is a general reading, so you take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And also, if you don't feel like you're resonating with the first few cards that I pull, it's very possible that this is not the reading for you. So go ahead and check maybe one of the different timestamps, see if you connect with any of those readings, or maybe another reading on my channel, and see if maybe you connect with one of those readings a little bit better. But okay, so let's get into it. And so first card we're looking at is kind of like, what is the nature of the problem that's going on? And we have the 10 of Wands here. And for me, what kind of comes up, it's interesting because I find this card like a little bit confusing. I'm still kind of like trying to figure out like really what's going on. And like, that could also be a sign too that maybe like the real nature of what's going on in this family is like unknown. Yeah, but I do get the feeling in the sense of like repeating cycles, like repeating, like we're doing the same thing over and over again, and like nothing is really ever like changing, or there's never really like when you have an opportunity to break a cycle. So like maybe if, say you guys like have like, this is just a random example, I'm not even like channeling this, but say you guys have just like a bad communication or something, and like people like yell at each other all the time, like you're just kind of consistently like falling into that pattern or falling into that like behavior, rather than like doing something different, or ever like really growing from these like maybe negative patterns, or maybe more like just like not most positive ways of like doing things, you know. Yeah, I don't know why I feel like so confused looking at this 10 of Wands. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So I don't know, I just feel like that could just potentially be like how maybe this family feels. Like you guys definitely know that like things aren't right, but I do get the sense that maybe it's like kind of unclear about like what exactly is going on, like why is this thing happening? Like that's how I kind of feel about it. So I'm gonna go through like some more of the cards here, but I definitely do feel the sense of like we have an opportunity for like a cycle to break and things to be done differently, but then we just do the same thing, you know, or like nobody really ever actually like changes anything. Like it's just kind of like going through the motions, like type of thing. So that could be honestly a sign though that maybe, and it's possible that it's not you, but you could also be a part of this, is like maybe people aren't really like giving the situation like the time and attention that it needs. Ooh, okay, it just kind of came up for me that like some people don't even think there's a problem. Okay, now it kind of makes sense why I feel confused. Okay, so some people like are like, maybe you feel like there are things that you have noticed that are like off, that are like wrong, that's like, I don't know if that's like the best way to like go about this, or the best way for us to be doing things. But other people are kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, everything's fine. Like, okay, that's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. That makes sense why I was like feeling confused, because like some people are kind of like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, everything's fine. We don't need to change anything. Like, I don't know where you're getting all this from or like why you had this opinion, but like, everything's good. Like, we're good over here. So there's no need to try to dig deeper into like what's going on in this family. And it could be possible that you are the only one who is like stepped up and been like, hey, something's not working. Like, let's try to figure out what that is. But like, everybody just kind of like looks at you like you're crazy, you know? Or maybe there's like, maybe that's someone in your family and it's not you. And they're like kind of bringing things up and you kind of look at them like, oh, like, what's going on? You know, like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I do get the sense that you're probably the person who's like noticed that something's not right, or like has felt that something's not right. I don't know if you're 100% able to pinpoint like every aspect of the situation that's wrong, but I definitely do feel like some people feel like there's a problem and some people are just like completely, I don't want to say like 100% oblivious, but like consciously oblivious, like subconsciously, if they heard what you had to say for real and like started putting the pieces together, they could come to the conclusion that like things are off, but like they're not even like at that point to be able to like do that. So yeah, I think there's a conflict about whether or not there's even a problem to begin with. So that's kind of funny. But let's keep going. So, and then so like kind of like, what do you think is like causing the problem? And we have Ace of Cups here. I get the feeling that you think that people, or maybe it's just you, but like, maybe this is a kind of a family where like things are very like cut and dry, like little emotion. Maybe this is a family where like people are not really good at like talking about their feelings, you know, and not really good at, I don't even really want to say like sweep problems under the rug, because that's not like, that's a part of it, but not like the whole of it to me. I kind of feel like it's like the problem doesn't even get talked about enough to be swept under the rug. It's just kind of like, people just don't talk in this family. I don't know. Like, I just get the feel like I maybe if that resonates, like continue to watch. If it doesn't, check out another video. But I just feel like people, or another reading, but I feel like people in this family just have trouble talking to each other. And like maybe your family or people in your family are like, you know, known for just like not really saying too much, just kind of like hanging out and just, you know, going with the flow, going through the motions. But there's little like deep emotional expression about anything. Like, this could be a family where like maybe you grew up thinking, or like your parents like didn't often or ever say like I love you, you know, like and I think that you want more of that. I think that you crave more emotion, you crave more depth, you just crave more from these relationships, and you want that. But like, you come from a family where like they don't do that, you know? So it's like you want to move into that. You want to be able to be more emotionally expressive with your family and like these people, and like actually like have real conversations. Like, I get the feeling like it's always like surface level. Like, you're kind of like at a point in your journey, in your spirituality, where like you want to dig into kind of the past, or dig into like the real things about like, you know, what's going on. But people are just not good at opening up. That's how it's kind of coming across for me. So yeah, take that as it resonates. But that's kind of how I feel about how you're feeling about all this, which would make sense. Okay, so what are some of the additional factors that are impacting the situation? And we have the Queen of Pentacles here. I kind of feel like everyone is a little bit too comfortable. At least the people who are like not willing to talk. So I do get the sense that this is, I mean, well-to-do family, you know, I don't know, I feel like your basic needs were, I mean, at least for most of you, this doesn't have to be for everyone, but pretty much like your basic needs like were met, you know, you were provided for in like a financial sense. Like you had stability in like your home growing up, like, you know, there was stability in like the food that you got, like you knew where your meals were coming from. You know, you didn't have to like be insecure about like food or like housing or anything like that. Your parents were like reliable people. Like they did what they said they were gonna do. They showed up for you. But it's really like in the sense of like you were provided a home, provided like what your basic needs, but there's a missing like emotional piece to it. You know, it's just like there wasn't a lot of depth in like the emotional relationships. And I think like maybe your parents were just kind of like the kind of people where it's like, oh, we just needed to provide, and like that's pretty much it, you know. But it probably has to do with like how they were raised. Maybe they were raised by parents or people who like they just don't come from a family that expresses a lot of emotion, you know. It's just doing what needs to be done, like being provided or providing for the family, and like making sure everyone has a roof over their head and has food to eat was like the brunt of the responsibility. And like for some of you, your parents were like very, very hard workers. Like you come from a very hard working family. So it could also be like, you know, they spent a lot of time, you know, at work or like, you know, providing. So there just wasn't even a lot of like space for this like emotional stuff, you know. And like maybe for some of your family, that was kind of like the compromise, you know, like they had to be at work or they had to provide, or they just felt like providing was the main responsibility that they had, but they lacked like teaching like emotional skills, emotional growth. Like again, didn't often say I love you, didn't often say I care about you, you know. You knew that. I think for most of you, like you had a general idea that your parents loved you and that, you know, I mean, they provided for you and stuff. But I do feel like it's not something that you heard often. And yeah, so I feel like I think they come from a background where, or just from the mindset of like providing is the main thing that like parents needed to do, or guardians or whoever, you know, kind of held that role. It was mainly about providing like in the environment and providing like the basic needs rather than like teaching like deep emotional lessons or teaching like deep emotional skills types of things. But you want that, you know. I think that's what you're missing. That's what your child is missing, is like like being told I love you, being told that you matter, being told that, you know, those things that like all little kids want to hear. Yeah, feelings were just like not the move for your family. It was straight business a lot of the times and little feelings involved. But let's see what else is going on here. So we have what's like some hidden and or like unknown influences that might have like been involved in the family dynamic. We have Queen of Swords here. And I feel like there is like somewhat of an unwillingness to acknowledge different perspectives, an unwillingness to like go deeper, I feel like. And again, I think this could be a result of just like maybe your parents being raised as people who were just, you know, like taught like providing is the thing, and like maybe again, like maybe their parent, they didn't hear from their parents often like, oh, I love you and all of that and stuff, so they just kind of, you know, like followed suit maybe, and did not spend like a lot of time in like deep reflection about like their life and how, and they haven't really connected with the points of like, oh, I wish like I would have been told that too, you know. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like I'm not gonna like, again, I don't want to say this like it's intentional because I don't believe it's intentional, but I kind of feel like it's one of those things where it's like I'm not gonna, like, they're just doing what they were taught and what they like was instilled in them rather than like acting on the feelings that they missed out on in childhood, or you know, like, or the experience that they missed out on in childhood. So if they were raised in a home where it was important to provide, for some of you, maybe your parents actually grew up in a less like stable environment than you did. So that's one of the reasons why it was mainly like providing was on the mind, and like emotional distress was like not a top priority. It's because like how they see it is they wanted to give you a stability that they didn't have. And I think that they might have like leaned into that a little bit too much. So leaning into that aspect of their experience that they wanted to correct, and that didn't leave a lot of room for, again, those like emotional things and like showing the emotional love that you needed. It was really very just like, I need to provide for my family. Like I need to, this is what I need to do based on like, you know, how I was raised. And, again, that's not for everybody. It's just for some of you, but I think they leaned into like maybe like one aspect of their experience and what they didn't get a little bit more than others. So, and that had to do a lot more with like providing financially or like providing things in the environment rather than providing like emotional support, you know? And from their perspective, I think that they feel like, I mean, they did everything they needed to do. I don't know why you would have a complaint, like, type of thing. Like, what are you complaining for? We provided you food, a home, like we did what we were supposed to do. So I can't imagine what you could have to complain about. Like, it's kind of how I feel, which, you know, again, I think is a type of defense mechanism, because it's like, hey, like, I worked really hard. I did what I was supposed to do. Like, how dare you even attempt to tell me, you know, that like I could have done more, because I did a lot, you know? So they're not able to like look at the situation from an emotional aspect. It's just very like logical, type of energy. Very like logical energy, and just not very emotional, if that makes sense. So take that as it resonates. Okay, so, and then like, what's the effect that the issue is having on the health of the family right now? So we have the King of Wands here, and this is definitely like how I feel like I'm connecting with this is, I don't want to say this, just like, I feel like there's not room for a different narrative, if that makes sense. Because again, like, these people who don't think that there was a problem are not even yet at a point to like accept a reality where like whatever you're upset about or complaining about or like bringing to them like has merit, because in their eyes, you know, like, they worked hard, they did what they were supposed to do. So I just feel like at the point that it's at now, it's just kind of like, again, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, your childhood was fine. Like, we did everything we were supposed to do. Like, there's just a real lack of ability to accept that everyone, like that people may have needed more than what they were able to do, or what they were, you know, what they did, you know? And I don't know, I just kind of think it's just, it's hard for them. It's kind of hard for them to, at this point, to accept a different reality. And so, or even, you know, like, consider a different reality. And so the effect that that's having is that you're still kind of in this position of like, you know, wanting to dig deeper, wanting to have this more emotional connection with your family, wanting to, you know, address like some of the maybe even like childhood wounds of like not being told that like, I love you, you were loved enough, that even though you knew, you still could have like been told that more and like felt it more, you know? And but these people are just kind of like just unable to even consider that side, you know? And so I think there's not an alignment of like, or not in alignment, not alignment's not the word. They are unable to honor your experience, you know, and like accept the fact that even though they did all of this, you needed more type of thing. And that kind of is causing, I think, and again, I don't think this is like a big like conflict that's out in the open. I think this is more so kind of things that you've been thinking about on your own and have kind of maybe like dropped hints here and there or try to start a conversation here and there, but you often get shut down, I think. I think it's like, it's not all the way there yet, but a rift is beginning to happen because it's like you have things that you want to say and what you want to, you know, say to them, but they're not in a position to hear it. And like, that's pretty disappointing. You know, maybe right now things haven't like gotten bad as it relates to that, you know, or like there hasn't been too much of a fallout yet, but I do think that you guys could be on the way to fallout. Because this energy, now that it's been acknowledged from you, it's only going to continue to build and build and build, and you're only going to want to talk about it more and more and more. And if they're never going to open the door to talk about it, then a rift and a divide is going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue. So I just feel like we're kind of in the beginning stages of that right now, because I feel like this is still like, maybe not super fresh to you, but it's super fresh in the sense that you're starting to have a conversation about it. And so them not being able to see outside of their own perspective right now is causing issues with that, and is going to contribute to like that rift continuing to happen. So that's how I feel about it. And then, so like what actions should be avoided? And we have the 7 of Pentacles. I don't know that it's in your best interest to push the issue right now, if that makes sense. Because again, I don't even feel like they are in a position to accept a different perspective or accept a different reality than like what they feel. Because you're probably, at least most of you are probably having the experience of when you bring it up, like it's immediately being shut down, or your parent or whoever is instantly like kind of getting mad whenever you like try to even present the idea that maybe like, you know, they could have done more than what they gave you, you know? But I feel like if you can continue to kind of push the issue now, you know, it's like, it's going to create more of that rift. It's going to create more of that divide. And I think that you probably have like some more processing and things that you could do about your own experience on your own to kind of get you in a better position to be able to have that conversation when the time is right, if that makes sense. So like, again, if you kind of like just been like sitting in this energy and just been like, you know, dropping hints here and there about trying to kind of start the conversation, I just get the feeling that that might not be the best way to have a conversation like this, because to you, you know, you just want to process, you want to feel like your experience mattered, but to them, it's like you're attacking their whole entire like parenting, you know, or you're attacking like a big part of like their life and what they feel like they did a good job at. So it's a very delicate conversation to try to have and to try to start. And so you just want to be very mindful that when you are trying to have that, you know, you are in a position to have like you have processed your feelings. You're able to stand on what you think and feel, you know, and not like accept them like shutting you down, you know, and like being able to hold firm in like your experience and what you know and what you've reflected on. I don't know that you're there yet. Like, I think that you could probably process a little bit more, get into a better like headspace when it comes to all these feelings. So I think that there's still a lot of like emotional processing energy that comes with this for you. And I think that in the position that you're in right now, it just may not be the best way to have that conversation right now. Because again, like we're moving into what can be done to resolve the issue, and we have the Wheel of Fortune here, and that's kind of one of the things that's making me think like, okay, now may not be the time, but like the winds are gonna shift type of thing, and when they do, it is gonna be the right timing to really like have these tough conversations. And you might even be surprised that like maybe you don't bring it up for a while, and then like one of your parents is like, hey, you know, kind of been thinking about what you said like that time, and I want to address it further. It's possible they could come to you and, you know, want to open up that conversation. But also too, like, you can go back and try to have that conversation when you're a little bit more ready. I think, like, you might feel like you're ready now because you're having a lot of intense, like, emotions and feelings about it. But I think, like, you need to wait until, like, you've kind of, like, thought about it more, processed it more, have a better idea of what you actually want to say, you know, because that way you can have a more productive conversation. I think if you're trying to have the conversation right now, it's just gonna widen that rift, you know, more and more and more and more. And I don't think that's what you want, because what you want, I feel like, is to become closer to your parents, to have a better emotional relationship with them. So I think just, like, wait for the winds to change. Wait for, like, it to be a more appropriate time to kind of, like, start talking about this, or a more appropriate space, you know? I just feel like now is not the time, but the time will come, type of thing. And you'll know when it's time, you know? Like, divine timing, like, you'll know. I just don't think that you're there yet, or it's, like, the timing just yet. So take that as it resonates. Again, like, if, like, you can do whatever you want. This is just, like, how I'm reading the energy. And, like, again, the energy, Wheel of Fortune, can shift at any moment. So the timing could become right, like, very soon, you know? But I just feel like right now it's not the time. But the time will come, type of thing. Okay, yeah. And so then what will, like, the final outcome be of all of this? And we have the Six of Cups. I feel like you are going to get to a place where you're able to, like, effectively express, like, what you need, or, like, what you need to tell them. But it will be, like, well received, and in the end, like, you as a family will grow closer together. You'll be able to have, like, a more emotional relationship with your parents, I think, or, you know, whoever this is actually referring to. Because, again, I just feel like right now it's, like, we're not there yet, but, like, the time will come. You will be able to start having these more difficult conversations, and it's going to lead to a stronger emotional bond, and you're going to feel a lot more, like, emotionally balanced in this connection, and maybe, like, also free to express emotion a little bit more, because, again, like, I don't get the sense that this is a family where you talk about feelings, like, talk about deep stuff, like, too often. But I think you can actually move into that, and that can kind of become, like, a normal for you guys, you know, once you kind of are able to express that that's what you want and that's what you're missing, you know, because at the end of the day, your parents do love you and they do want to do right by you. You know, I just think these are very hard conversations to have. And so, especially for people who don't often talk about feelings and emotions. So if they're shutting you down, I don't think it's because they're not willing to talk. It's just, it's very uncomfortable for them right now. But it has the opportunity to become comfortable when you're able to take those steps to actually have a more effective conversation. And again, the outcome I see at this point is, like, there is an opportunity for you to get what you want, and for you to be able to have a more, like, emotionally balanced, better relationship with your parents, or with your family in general, you know? So don't give up on the hope that things will get to that point, because I think that they will. I just don't think that you're in that part of the cycle yet. You know, this is a journey. This is a cycle. Like, there's multiple people involved, multiple spirits and souls involved. There's a lot of things that are going to have to shift, or, you know, the winds have to shift. Like, I don't know why I keep saying that, but that's what it is. But when they do, you will have the opportunity to say what you need to say. You will have the opportunity to let your parents know you want to have a closer emotional relationship. And I think even by you doing that, you're going to open up the door for them to be able to have emotional expression in ways that they haven't even ever been able to before. Because, again, like, that's just not their normal. So it's just something that's going to take some time. You know, I do think that they love you. And I think at the end of the day, they would do whatever you needed. You know, it's just going to take some time. So in the meantime, continue to process your own feelings, continue to process your own experience, move yourself into a position to be able to have an effective conversation when the time comes, you know? So maybe you should spend some time reflecting, you know, maybe talk to someone, maybe figure out, like, You know, how can I have this conversation in a way that my parents can receive it? You know, tailor your like message to who they are as people, and then as they kind of start to understand it a little bit more, they might be more willing and open to have a greater conversation later on down the line, if that makes sense. But I do think it's possible for you to reach that goal of wanting to have a more emotional experience with them. I really do think it's possible. I just think that they're just not there yet. They're not the kind of people who talk about their feelings, so it's just gonna take time. But it's definitely possible. But thank you so much, Pile 3, for joining me in this reading. I was kind of scared at first because I was like, I really don't know where we're going with this. I was so confused. So I really hope that this reading resonated with you. If it did and you like this reading, please like this video, or please leave me a comment and let me know how this resonated. I would love to hear from you and your experience and hear about your story a little bit. And if you like this reading enough, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you can, catch future readings. But again, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I wish you nothing but the best of luck, peace, love, and healing as you move through this situation. Yes, thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next reading.